Is anyone out there listening? Good. You've tuned into Lavender Town Radio, the only station brave enough to broadcast the static between worlds. Tonight, we have a story for you, a whisper from the shadows, a tale woven from the dark pages of the Pokédex that they never wanted you to read. But first, a small favor. If you find a chilling comfort in our stories, show your support by hitting the like button. It's a small click for you, but it's a beacon for us in the digital darkness. And to ensure you never miss a transmission, make sure you subscribe and ring that little bell. It helps our signal cut through the noise. All right, the signal is clear. Now, are you comfortable? Good. Let's begin.
My name is Aria. As the Kalos Queen, I have seen thousands of performances. I have seen the brilliant flames of a Braixen, the elegance of a Gardevoir, and even the adorable stumbles of a Rookie. I thought I had seen it all, until I saw Lila. She first appeared at the Santaloon Showcase, a young girl with jet black hair, porcelain white skin, and empty, crystalline blue eyes. At her side was a Banette, a strange choice for such a colorful stage. And then they performed. It was an unnerving perfection. Every one of Lila's movements was precise to the millimeter. Every smile was perfectly calculated. The Banette, which she called Marionette, moved with her not in coordination, but in absolute synchronicity, as if they were one. Their performance, a sorrowful waltz, left the entire hall breathless. They won easily. But I, from my seat of honor, saw things the cameras didn't catch. Lila didn't breathe. For the full 3 minutes of the performance, her chest did not rise and fall. Her glass-like eyes never blinked. And the Banette, it did not move with grace. It moved with a painful tension, as if every motion was an effort of will, as if it were pulling an invisible heavy weight. The crowd cheered for a new star. I felt an inexplicable chill.
A new star was born on the showcase stage. Her performance was perfect. Too perfect. Lila and Marionette continued to sweep the showcase circuit. Coumarin, Shalor, Anastar, they won everywhere. Their fame skyrocketed. People were mesmerized by her melancholic beauty and her flawlessness. I decided to meet her backstage in Lumios. I wanted to look into her eyes to see if there was anything behind that emptiness. Your performance was magnificent, Lila, I said. Thank you, Queen Aria, she replied, her voice clear and perfect, but without a shred of emotion. We simply try our best. It was like talking to a pre-programmed chatbot. I tried to ask about her past, about how she met Marionette. The answers were always vague and generic. Throughout our conversation, she never ate, never drank, and the Banette was always there, just behind her, its zippered mouth seeming to smile at me, a smile of mockery. I started using my connections. I had the showcase officials check Lila's registration. They came back confused. There was no birth certificate, no permanent address, no history. Lila seemed to have appeared from thin air. My suspicion hardened into a terrifying certainty. Lila wasn't a person. She was a doll. I tried talking to her backstage. It felt like talking to a beautiful, empty doll. If Lila was a doll, then who was pulling the strings? There could only be one answer. Marionette. But why? The investigation led me to a remote and forgotten place, an old children's hospital on the outskirts of Lavender City, the city of fairy tales. The hospital had been closed for years. In the dusty archives, I found the records of former patients, and I found her, a little girl named Lila, a terminally ill patient who had passed away 10 years ago. Her file stated she was a massive fan of Pokémon Showcases and of me, Aria. Her biggest dream was one day to become the Kalos Queen, and her favorite toy, the one she never let go of, was a hand-sewn Shuppet doll. All the pieces fell into place with a painful clarity. When Lila died, the Shuppet, left behind with the grief and obsession of an unfulfilled promise, evolved into a Banette. It wasn't an evil spirit, it was a broken heart, driven by a single purpose: to complete the dream of its deceased master. It had found a doll that looked just like its owner and used its ghostly energy to animate it into the perfect performer. The performances weren't about winning. They were a ritual, a memorial. The horror I had felt melted away, replaced by a profound sadness. Marionette wasn't a monster. It was a mourner. The doll wasn't the trainer. The Pokémon was. And it was trying to fulfill a promise to a girl who was already gone. It was the night of the Masterclass Finals in Lumio City. It was down to Lila and one other talented performer. All of Kalos was watching. I found Lila and Marionette backstage. I didn't confront it. I just spoke softly. She would have been so proud of you. The Banette, for the first time, reacted to me. It turned, and I felt a wave of emotions crash into my mind: grief, loss, and an infinite, unconditional love. It showed me images of the real Lila, laughing, coughing, holding it tight. I must fulfill the promise. A faint, staticky voice echoed in my head. It refused to stop. That night, its final performance was unlike any other. It was no longer perfect. It was emotional. The Banette was no longer just moving the doll. It was pouring all of its pain, all of its obsession from 10 lonely years into every movement. Lila's dance became frantic, desperate. I could see small cracks beginning to form on the doll's porcelain skin from the sheer psychic energy. It was a painfully beautiful performance. And then I saw it. In the front row, where one seat was inexplicably empty, a faint, translucent figure of a little girl was sitting. She was smiling, not at the doll on the stage, but at the Banette hovering behind it. Its final performance wasn't for the judges. It was for a single audience member, a ghost in the front row. As the final note of music faded, the Lila doll struck a graceful final pose, and then it crumbled. It shattered into a pile of porcelain, fabric, and wood on the stage. The entire stadium fell into a stunned, horrified silence. Marionette, the Banette, floated above the wreckage. Its energy was spent. It looked small and tired. The ghost of the real Lila stood up. She said nothing, only held out a translucent hand to her old friend. The Banette, its promise finally fulfilled in its own way, let go. Its zippered mouth, which had always been curled into a painful smile, finally straightened. It floated to Raster's ghost, and together they faded into the air. I stood there on the stage, amidst the wreckage of a doll and the silence of a stunned crowd. I had to explain the unexplainable. I took the microphone. Tonight, I said, my voice catching, we did not just witness a performance, we witnessed a story of love, of loss, and promise kept even after death
tore them apart. I dedicated that year's competition to the memory of Lila and to the most loyal partner a trainer could ever have. It wasn't a horror story, it was a tragedy. And sometimes the tragedies are the most haunting stories of all.
The transmission is ending. The static is creeping back in. Thank you for listening to Lavender Town Radio. Remember, the Pokédex only tells you half the story. We're here for the other half. Your thoughts on this story are valuable. They tell us what scares you. Leave them in the comments. To help us continue broadcasting from the abyss, please hit the like button and, most importantly, subscribe. More subscribers mean a stronger signal, and a stronger signal means more secrets can be revealed. This is Lavender Town Radio, signing off. Be sure to check your shadows. You never know what might be listening.